the financial thing alone does not do it. In fact, it actually cranks up the challenge because you're so invested in keeping that financial wealth growing that there's an enormous pressure on your relationships, all of the relationships around you. That does not walk you into the American dream, therefore, is an illusion or a mirage.
So Viktor Frankl wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning, one of the most important books for purpose. And in there, he created a concept called existential frustration, where people were frustrated with their existence. What are your thoughts on this concept as it applies to money? You know, basically money and power, they're all just, they're not the end, right? It's just, if you want all the money in the world and you get all the money in the world, you're still not going to be happy. You're going to be frustrated with your existence.
Yeah, I can tell you with all honesty, I know this is the thing about my life, which I share in the book, is I was there. I sat at the table. I was in what they call forum, where these CEOs were talking about their wives and their kids and the lives they were living. I can tell you, the financial thing alone does not do it. In fact, it actually cranks up the challenge because you're so invested in keeping that financial wealth growing that there's an enormous pressure on your relationships, all of the relationships around you. That does not walk you into the American dream, therefore, is an illusion or a mirage where it's just constantly, the oasis keeps moving out on the horizon, out on the horizon. You never get there. There's no there. It's part of why I followed this calling into conscious living. Now, by contrast, when we have financial wealth, and financial wealth is great, it's a gift, but where we use it for the good of the things I'm talking about, supporting conscious living in my home, in the community, out in the world, building streaming platforms, all of these kinds of things. That's my particular calling. There are many different ways to manifest positive change in the world, where our funding is supporting that. Then that's when we really come into the deliciousness in life. One of the stories I tell in the book is of a guy named Ken Behring. Okay, he's got a private jet that's like a 737. He's now passed a few years back, but I tell his story because he grew up in real estate, developed these huge properties, Black Hawk in California, Florida community. Then he bought the Seattle Seahawks and owned them for a while. Then he had a museum of antique cars, like 200 of the most unbelievable antique cars, 30,000 square foot home with thousands of bottles of the best wine in the whole world, and a 737 jet. I mean, need I say more? What the heck, what are you going to have besides that, right? Now, I came to know this man because he invited me to go to China with him and his family to do a philanthropic thing. My best friend actually worked with Ken for many, many years. Now, what Ken shared is, he said, you know what? He passed at 92. He said, until I was 80, I never really found it. All this stuff, even my NFL team, all of that. I didn't really, the juiciness, happiness of life was not there until 80. At 80, wow. He started the Wheelchair Foundation, that gives people mobility. And not only does it give people mobility, but the family members would carry them around all day long and couldn't do anything but carry around the family member all day long, were also freed up. And so he was like, he looked at that and said, wow, you just put a wheelchair in a home and unbelievable, the whole family goes into super bloom, So then he started distributing wheelchairs all over the world through his Wheelchair Foundation, which is partly how I came to know him. And then he said, then I found it. I finally found the real treasure. And he spent his last 12 years just flying around the world, giving away as many wheelchairs as he could. That's a premises of my book. The more we give away, the better we feel.